I'm Michael Bolak, winemaker for Pine Ridge Vineyards. Pine Ridge was founded in 1978, and over the years we've acquired almost 200 acres of land in the Napa Valley. We grow fruit in 5 different appellations: Howell Mountain, Rutherford, Stag's Leap, Oakville, and Carneros. We also have all 5 Bordeaux varietals planted. That, as a winemaker, gives me a huge tool for blending and making much more complex wines. Today I'm at the winery, which is located in the Stag's Leap district. The Stag's Leap district is a small area. It's only 3 miles long and 1 mile wide. The soil depth here is surprisingly shallow. It's 1 to 3 feet thick in most areas before you hit solid bedrock. Here in Stag's Leap we have 47 acres planted in 4 different vineyards. Here at the home ranch we have Cabernet, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot, and Malbec planted. In the morning we have fog moving up from San Pablo Bay, but as the sun rises, the light and heat is reflected off the Palisades on the eastern side of the appellation, burns off the fog between 8 and 9 o'clock most days, and then later in the afternoon, say 3 o'clock, we get a nice cooling breeze that comes down through the canyon, cooling off the vineyards. The wines of Stag's Leap tend to have an elegant power to them. The tannin structure is very fine that coats your entire palate, lots of chocolate, berry, mocha flavors, and a long, strong finish. The wines from Stag's Leap, of course, go into the Stag's Leap bottling, but I also save small amounts to put in the Napa cab and into the Fortis.
Hello, my name is Gustavo Aviña, and I am the Vineyard manager of Pine Ridge. Our vines here are stressing in a natural way because our soils that we have. By having our vines stressing here makes small berries with a thick skin, which makes a really high quality fruit. And that leads to exceptional wines.
Today I'm down in the Carneros AVA with Jason Ledbetter, our assistant winemaker.
We have 49 acres here in Carneros in 3 different vineyards: Olive Pond, McKinnon, and here the Buman Ranch.
The weather here is very cool. We're right on the edge of San Pablo Bay, so it goes from sea level up to maybe 400 feet in elevation. These hills are still fairly low. That cool fog stays here most of the day. Sometimes it won't burn off until mid-afternoon or so.
The coolness from the San Pablo Bay keeps the acidity in our grapes really low. All that fog that starts out very north in Calistoga and slowly recedes back throughout the day won't actually recede back into the bay until about 2 or 4 p.m. in the afternoon. So that makes a long, cool growing season, which leads to a lower pH and a slower sugar accumulation in the grape. This leads to a lot more of that pomelo and grapefruit, a more fruit aroma that comes out of the glass when you taste our Dijon clone Chardonnay.
The soils here in Carneros are mostly clay. It's fairly well drained, about 1 meter deep. That is perfect climate for growing both Merlot and Chardonnay.
So our Dijon clone is all grown down here. We have 3 different clones that we grow in the Carneros area: clone 95, 96, and 76. What also makes Carneros an interesting AVA is that although we're standing in Napa Valley right now, if we head west, we'll run into Sonoma, but still be in the Carneros AVA. This is the only AVA that transcends a county line. And Carneros is really one of my favorite AVAs because as you get further north, you'll run into winery and winery and winery, but out here we have long, vast, rolling hills. Los Carneros is actually Spanish for rams. And as you can see behind me, these rolling hills of vineyards used to all just be rolling hills where rams and sheep and cows would graze. This used to be a very well-known area in Sonoma and Napa for dairy production. Besides Chardonnay production, we've moved the majority of our Merlot production down here as well. Basically for the same benefits that we get from the Chardonnay. We're going to get a lot of crisp acidity, a lot fruitier flavors and complexity that comes from that cool fog.
Today I'm up on Howell Mountain at our vineyard that we call Las Posadas. It's 9 acres of Cabernet, all planted to clone 7. We are located about 2/3 of the way up the valley. Howell Mountain is defined by elevation. It starts at 1,400 feet and goes up to 2,200 feet. Las Posadas here is at about 2,000 feet. We're so high, in fact, that sometimes during the winter we'll get snow 3 or even 4 times during the season up here. The Cabernet from Las Posadas is all clone 7. The berries tend to be smaller and the clusters smaller also. It's very robust intensity to the wines. Lots of blackberry, currant, plum, a little cherry, long, complete wines that have a full finish to them.
One of the things that I like from these vineyards is the soil is totally different from the valley floors. There are red volcanic soils which are rich in minerals but low in nutrients. And also the first 2 feet, the soils are very fertile, but then below those 2 feet, there is a very rocky areas where we have a rocks which we call tufa, but those rocks breaks very easy, which allows the roots to penetrate and make strong vines. Due to the cool temperatures in early summer, variation starts like 1 month later than the valley floors, but also that allows the berry to ripe slowly but uniform. And then through the late summer, we have a warmer nights here, and that helps to catch up a little bit from the rest of the valley.
Today I'm standing in the middle of Dos Olivos. Dos Olivos is our only vineyard here in the Oakville Appellation. It was named by our vineyard manager, Gustavo Avina, for the 2 olive trees that are at the entrance gate coming onto the property. We planted this vineyard with Cabernet Petit Verdot and Cabernet Franc. And the reason we chose those varietals is really due to the soil and the way it's made up. The soils here were formed by 2 forces of nature. One was the Napa River, which has crisscrossed through the valley here for thousands of years. And the other is alluvial fans. And that's when soil is washed down from the hillsides onto the valley floor. On the western side, they tend to be a little more gravelly, and on the eastern side, more volcanic clay. Both are excellent for growing Bordeaux varietals. The Oakville Appellation has about 6,000 acres planted. It's midway up the valley, so we have fog in the morning, which burns off maybe by 9 o'clock, warm days, and then cool evenings. It's that diurnal temperature that really helps ripen the fruit, yet keeps acidity bright in all the fruit that we're pulling off of here. Dos Olivos, of course, goes into the Oakville Cabernet, but I also use it in 2 other wines, the Napa Cab and Fortis. And I do that because this vineyard really shows a lot of bright acid. When I add it to the other wines, it tends to brighten them up, add cherry, raspberry characteristics. But the other reason is the tannins, very long, structured, elegant tannins that add complexity and depth to both of those wines and make them really interesting. Dos Olivos is one of my favorite vineyards, not only because of the fruit that it brings and the quality of wine that I get from it, but it is also the first red grapes that I pick each year. Start off with a little Chardonnay, and shortly thereafter, I'm bringing in Cabernet from this vineyard. Gets the whole season off to a bang. Today I'm standing in Rutherford, and behind me is Hidden Canyon, one of 3 vineyards that we have planted here. We actually have 61 acres planted. Rutherford is by far one of my favorite appellations out of Napa Valley. What I really love about Rutherford is the classic richness that we get from our vineyards. The fruit comes together and it starts off with a tactile feel, very fine tannins, coats the palate, and you start moving into the fruits. You get cherry, berry, plum, then you pick up maybe creme brulee, vanilla, graham cracker. The wine just comes together in this elegance that is amazing. Rutherford is just a little bit more than halfway up the Napa Valley. Here in Rutherford, we have planted Cabernet, Cab Franc, Petit Verdot, and Malbec for the 5 classic Bordeaux varieties. They all do really well here, but you'll find in Rutherford, most of the vineyards are planted to Cabernets. What's interesting in Rutherford is that the daytime temperature is a little bit warmer than in Stag's Leap and in Oakville, but then as the sun sets in the evening and goes behind the hills, the temperature can drop 10 to 12 degrees just like that. That really adds to the acid balance in the wine. Most of the soil here is caused from alluvial fans. That's when soil is washed down from the hills. And over on the west side, it's really mostly gravel that is left behind. So we have very well-drained soils here on the western side. Right now I'm in a vineyard called Rutherford Ridge. It's 33 acres planted, of course, in Rutherford, primarily with Cabernet. Right now, I'm on the edge of parcel 21. This particular part of the vineyard is by far my very favorite. It's up on top of a hillside. It gets lots of exposure from morning to sunset. Very, very intense fruit from here. It's fairly closely spaced. We get small berries, small clusters. With small berries and small clusters, you create a very dense, intense wine.